Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be going through the 3 games that happened on the Super Saturday, as we had quite a lot of players go, especially in SuperCoach, go big 120 pluses scores, and a lot of people are actually tracking towards sort of 2,000, 2,100 this week, I would say, in comparison to last week, or at least that's how it feels like, maybe just with my side. I know that I'm tracking about 200 points better than I was last week, and I had a VC score last week, which showed how much different it is. But I think a lot of people are just happy this week. We've got a couple of rookies that have gone absolutely nuts, especially in the backline yet again. So the backline is really sort of turning up and providing that those big scores that we need. So anyway, let's just jump into this video. So as you can see here, we'll start off with the Gold Coast Adelaide game. Huge game. I'm not going to talk about the last minute or two of umpiring, as that was very, very questionable. But just an outstanding game. Daniel Rioli going at 92% ball use for 6 contested possessions, 2 clearances, 18 kicks, 8 handballs, 6 marks, 6 tackles. He filled up pretty much every stat sheet there that was available to him, and that's why he had the plus 50 from his fantasy score on top of it to get to a 163 SuperCoach, which was the highest score of the Saturday for SuperCoach. So yeah, he just ended up just being very, very impactful. And I'm pretty sure if you look at his stats, I think he had about 40 odd fantasy points in the last quarter. So it was a lot of it was efficiency at the back end in a tight game, which I think just gave him a monster amount of points. If I just go here quickly, he had 51 points in the last quarter. So he had 10 touches, 8 kicks, 2 handballs, 5 marks, 2 tackles in the last quarter. And that was at 100% efficiency, with 0 turnovers in that. So it didn't even have how many turnovers did he have in general? I'm just going to look at this quickly. He had in general 2 turnovers, 0 clangers. So it was almost the prototypical perfect game for a halfback. If he had just not landed, I think it was a couple of kicks in the first or so quarter. Yeah, he had 1 kick in the 1 kick or handball in the first quarter that missed, and then 1 in the second quarter. But in the third in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, he had 15 touches at 100% efficiency with 5 marks and 4 tackles. Just shows how big he was. Flanders, someone put it on X that he battled towards that score. I just don't think he's going to be top of the line in either format. Maybe when he gets forward status, he'll be in and around that top 6 in the forward line, but I feel like he's going to really, because we didn't see big games from Anderson or Rao, so I have a feeling that he's going to be one that we really look at and just think of what a downfall he's had. Witsy got to his 100. He really dominated O'Brien, it felt like, as he was able to, he got up to about 50 SuperCoach in the first quarter or something along those lines. And then it felt like the third quarter, he really just slowed down. And so that might have been because Adelaide came back pretty strongly. Let me just figure that out. In Jared Witts in the third quarter, he had 3 disposals for 19 fantasy points. And yeah, that was his poor quarter in terms of fantasy. All the other ones were 24 plus. So just didn't do much in that quarter, and that's why he really sort of fell down in terms of his SuperCoach scoring. I think also his disposal efficiency went a little bit. Noah Anderson got off to a hot start. He was on 50, I should say, at quarter time, I believe, in SuperCoach. But he just didn't get the ball in the second half. He had a couple of disposal efficiency issues, and that's the reason why he didn't get that really mega boost that you can sometimes get. Tuke Miller did nothing in the last quarter, it felt like, for fantasy and SuperCoach. I felt like he was well on top in terms of his overall scoring. He was one of the clubhouse leaders going into the last, but then he had 1 kick and 1 mark, so he had a plus 6 in the last quarter, and that was it. And that's the reason why he really dropped away. Matty Rao, this 130 streak, it's come to an end. He just basically gave away 4 or 5 free kicks, which killed his DT to SuperCoach ratio. And yeah, when you get those clangers up towards that 6, 7, 8 range, you're always going to have a tough time getting the ratio up. And he just had a 1-to-1 ratio. And then Bailey Humphrey, he probably, I would say, saved it with a critical goal in a tight game in the, I want to say, the second quarter. but his role just doesn't fill me with confidence. 53% disposal efficiency, 3 clangers. He had 2 free kicks. I think one of them was a holding the ball as well. So he was almost lucky also to get to 60-64. If he doesn't have a goal or that holding the ball free kick, I think, or a holding the man free kick, I think he ends up in the sort of 40s, which that's just not valuable. And he's kind of killed his cash gen. And then, so you're basically hoping that these 2 easy matchups that Gold Coast have in the next 2 weeks, I think they play West Coast and North Melbourne, who both look pathetic. We'll get to the North Melbourne game later in this video. You're hoping that he goes and tons up in both games. But yeah, just a guy I'm happy that I missed in general on both platforms. Powell, no one else here really that I'm looking at. Ethan Reed, for those that picked him up in SuperCoach after his ton, and then he's had a buy, then he went 50 or so. He went 30 here, and it's just not valuable. Then we get over to the likes of Adelaide, and this is the roles that we really wanted to see out of Adelaide. Jordan Dawson, 118, 124. I was really happy about this. We were actually in the Monday live stream group chat going off. Oh, Dawson's done it again. He's spent first 5 minutes. He's gone off and he's gotten to 20 points in the quarter. And then he almost goes negative in the last 10 minutes of the quarter. If you saw that in the first and second quarter of this game, he was on, I think, 24 in the first 5 minutes of the game and then ends the quarter on 18. Then he gets to 45 or so in the first 5 minutes of the second quarter and then ends the quarter on 40. But then in the third and fourth quarter, he really dominated the game. He really started to get the clearances and the contested possession. If I go to quarter 3, he had 40 fantasy points, which included 10 disposals, 6 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 marks, 2 tackles. And then in the fourth quarter itself as well, he had 11 touches, 6 kicks, 5 handballs, and 4 tackles. So he wasn't necessarily efficient, 64%, 60 and 64% respectively for the quarters, but he just got the points, the mammoth points in a close game, and it's just going to count up, count up, count up. So that could have probably easily been a 140 game if his own teammates hadn't dropped the ball 3 or 4 times off his kicks, etc., or handballs. So yeah, just a really, really happy game, and really stood up in a midfield that I guess the midfield has been really struggling in the last couple of weeks, especially in SuperCoach. So yeah, just for him to do that and put a midfield score up is really huge. Peatling as well, this is the role that we wanted to see him in. This is the role that when he gets CBAs and he looks good, if we go to DFS, I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. If we go to CBAs for Adelaide, and then we go 2025, you'll see Peatling with Matt Crouch out rested. Peatling is gone. He actually had worse CBAs. That's actually surprising. I'm shocked about this. So yeah, chuck that all that point out the window. So he had 30% CBAs, which is lower, and he's gone better. Interesting. So that kind of negates that point. But yeah, just an outstanding game from him. He looked really, really good. I don't know whether, and I'm just going to question this around very similar to what we saw out of Jai Simpkin the first couple of weeks, is that he starts forward, but then drifts into the center. It felt like Peatling was around the ball a lot more. So I wonder if they were just sort of, if we go to the CBAs here, trying to figure this out, Rankin, Soligo, Dawson, Sid Draper, 50%. So that was interesting. I just wonder if he was just the guy that would sort of swap out with Sid Draper or something like that after the initial CBA. Yeah, so just a really good game from him. I'd still like to question the CBAs and if they had any correlation to him actually being around the ball less in terms of the total game. Still thought someone actually mentioned this, bringing him in potentially for SuperCoach purposes, and he's gone, I think, 100 in all 4 games, which is outstanding. Kicked 5. I had him for my Coleman. So yeah, if you have a guy like that that's 200, 300k, you can almost actually do it because he is just getting mass opportunities. He probably got targeted with the ball about 10, 15 times in the forward 50. It felt like he's kicked 5 goals too. He also had Mac Andrew spoil at least 2 or 3, especially late. So that would make him up to 10 targets in the forward 50. If he clunks 5 or 6 marks and kicks 3 or 4 goals, he is going to get, that's already 48, 50 points. So yeah, he's just outstanding, and it's going to be intriguing to see how he goes if he's going to be top of the line, because he is doing that job at the moment. Isaac Cumming, 97-79. He was pretty good. But then Jake Soligo, another guy, he just whatever he did in terms of SuperCoach, he was on like 30-60 split, and he just sort of held that split, that plus 30 the whole way through. So it was actually really interesting, I would say, to see this from him. So yeah, 92-126 split from him, and definitely a guy I'm intrigued about for SuperCoach. I'm just wanting to see how they run it with if Sid Draper stays in the side and they have Matt Crouch back, what's going to happen there. Then you have Isaac Rankin. He would have been a decent, he would have had an outstanding SuperCoach game if it wasn't for the 5 free kicks against that he conceded. As that probably puts him, I would think, at about 100, 105. And he only had, I think, 1 disposal and 2 tackles in the last quarter. So this was so much a maybe game from Isaac Rankin. I know it's a 69-81, but just thinking about it as well, the 5 free kicks that he gave against, 2 or 3 of them are holding the ball. If he gets a kick off there, just thinking about that, that's a 6-point swing there 2 or 3 times. That's already plus 18, plus the other 2. That's a like almost 30 or 25 point swing around from just the free kicks as well, which would put him at like a 94 and then a 110 or so in terms of SuperCoach. So yeah, really surprising to see an 81 pointer from a guy that's got 18 contest possessions and 10 clearances, but it is what it is. Miller, Fogarty, no one else here really, except for, I should probably comment on Rory Laird and Sid Draper here. Rory Laird, I thought he was an option heading into in a couple of weeks' time when he got the DPP, but now that he's got a 60 under his belt, and he's a sub-risk, especially in the last quarter, especially if they have Luke Nankervis coming off the bench in the sub role. Laird's probably going to be the guy that goes. And they said it was tactical. They said it was for the like the 6 or 5 day break that they've got, but it was not a good sign to see Rory Laird get subbed out. And then Sid Draper, he was electric in the first quarter. I believe he was on about 24 at quarter time. And then he basically 24 across the board, 24. And then he just did nothing in the last quarters. So, yeah, just not a guy that you'd be looking at. I don't think he's an inflated price. And he still has so many of the sub games that he's got in his price cycle that you don't want to touch. So that's that game. Then we go across to the next game, which was Richmond versus Brisbane. And this game was actually an intriguing game because it felt like Brisbane just sort of tried to really get a percentage booster in the end. And then after about 3/4 time, they just went, we just want to get our guys through this game and keep them all fit and healthy. Jacob Popper has actually had a couple of good performances this year. I don't know what exactly he's at. If we just go in terms of Hopper and go here, let's just look up Hopper. So he's gone 73 average for the year. He's had 82, 58, 92, and now a 112, was that? 119. So he's gone pretty well, in all right, I would say. What's that? 350 through 4 games. So he's averaging almost 90 or so across the whole year, which isn't the best, but in a Richmond team, it's not the worst. Tim Taranto, 102.97. He was actually pretty decent throughout the game. I thought he had a really good... who did he play against? I want to say him and Dunkley were on each other, but I could be wrong about that. But it felt like those two were on each other as McIntosh was running through, was tagging about 5 different players across the game. But yeah, Taranto did all right there. 29 touches, 5 tackles and a goal. Jaden Short, 97.86. So my 2 guys that I traded out in Jaden Short and also STK, to Sinclair and also Bice, it's somehow going to be a positive, but it could have easily been more. So yeah, Jaden Short did pretty well. I mean, an 86 sort of just sitting there, but the 97 in fantasy I'll definitely take, because I did miss Bice in fantasy. But yeah, he was pretty good just getting the cheap ball, and 25 touches, 9 marks is pretty good. Gave away a free kick, which took away the 100 score that you could have got. But you take a 97 in the back line, I guess, at the moment, given how bad my fantasy side is going to be. Semi Layla, we probably need to just give him a little bit more credit for what he's doing at the moment. This was an absolutely outstanding game, and I mean, he's not going to do this regularly, and he's still averaging like 60 something for the year. If we just go to Semi Layla, it's going to be somewhere here. Let me go Semi Layla here. He's averaging for the year still, what's that for the year? 52.7 before that game. So he scored a 112. So that's going to put him at 270 for the year through 4 games, which is roughly around the 67 marker. So it's not outlandish, I would say, from Sammy Layla, but it's not too terrible. He's still going to go up in SuperCoach. He's going to go up what's that? He beat his break even by 60 odds, so he's still going to go up 25k or so. But I'll say this to the people who traded him out. It wasn't a bad decision. His break even was 47. He was averaging 52. You're going to be able, you traded him to Moraes, etc., most likely, which was a downgrade of 107k. So you gained 107k. If you can put that on someone else to get an upgrade, then you're doing really well, or you bank the cash. Moraes is going to go up more than Sammy Layla this week, most likely. Unless he goes minus 10. That is what is going to happen. Yes, it sucks that Sammy Layla put in a big score, but that was the right move without hindsight, and we don't have hindsight in trading in SuperCoach. So yeah, that was the right move to trade out Sammy Layla against arguably one of the toughest matchups, and he just went big. It is what it is. Sometimes you just have that where players just go big. Toby Nankervis, and this probably just shows the ruck conundrum. If we go to fantasy, because they have the updated scoring in terms of the week by week, you'll see this in terms of the positions, the rucks. Look at this. In terms of the rucks, a 113 De Koning, Marshall, Darcy Cameron, Witts, Luke Jackson, Toby Nankervis, Tristan Cherry, Max Gawn. Look at this. Look at this chaos. We expect Luke Jackson to drop now with Sean Darcy coming back in a couple of weeks' time. I don't think he's back this week. I think he played Waffle, but he's back in a couple of weeks' time. That means that he's going to drop. And suddenly you've got Rowan Marshall is going to be a guy that everyone probably in a week or two is going to go, damn, do we go to him? Do we not? Do we go to him? Do we not? That's going to be the debate, because Darcy Cameron's got an effective average of 98. Rowan Marshall's doing outstanding, but you never would have gone to him in the first round if you had seen Harry Boyd lining up as the number 1 ruck and Rowan Marshall up forward. Tim English has been shocking. Look at this. So when people say, oh yeah, Max Gawn, oh, it's an absolute failed pick, why did I do this, etc. Yeah, I have to almost realize that Cherry had a stinker against Sydney's become a hard matchup now. If they keep with Peter Adams, can I just say? We'll get to that in a little bit as well. But wow, this is just horrendous. If you take it, Darcy Cameron taking it out is 98. It is, other than De Koning and Marshall, I don't think anyone's dramatically going above their season average by anything or doing anything damaging. So yes, Gawn is down and Cherry is down quite a lot, but it's not the end of the world that they're down so much. Cherry's averaging 93.5, Gawn's at 92.3. Gawn's almost outplaying Cherry, even though he's averaging lower because he started lower. It's chaos, I would say. With the ruck stock, I thought Nankervis was one of the better ones to have, and now he's, what do we say he's at, 100 or so? He's now at averaging 94.8, so he's probably one of the better ones, even though he's going 1.3 above Cherry and 2.2 above Gawn or whatever it is. What's Gawn? 2.5 above Gawn in fantasy. So I just think the ruck debate, you could pretty much have started anyone in the ruck line, and it wouldn't have mattered too much unless you somehow forgot about the Harry Boyd news and somehow got Rowan Marshall alongside TDK. That was the optimal duo, but not many would have gone there, especially top of the line guys. It's a lot of dead teams of that 15% in fantasy that have him. Going down here, Luke Traynor, huge game from him, 74.82. He's gone bang bang in terms of fantasy and SuperCoach, and he's now really up there in terms of the cash generation. I don't know where exactly he's going to go, but you would expect SuperCoach is breaking on me. If we just go down to to Luke Traynor here, hopefully this loads. He's got a minus 21 break even from this game, and he went 82, putting him roughly up 43k. That sounds a little bit potential unders, but yeah, that was pretty good from him as, a 65 break even gets him up 28.9k. So I'm just going to check the sort of magic number, is 0.444, times that by, he beat his break even by 103. So that would put him up 40. Yeah, he's about 45k up, which put that on 156.2. Gets him to about 201, 202k. So 201, 202k with, you would expect, let's just look at his, you would expect now that 24 actually comes out of his system. He's going to be, his break even could be lower than 21. I'm going to search it up later and probably post it on Twitter, etc. when I find the price scoring guys to do it. But his break even could be extremely low, which is really, really good to see, as we need cash then. And now we've got a back four rookies. We talked about, oh, the rookies are so horrific. What are we doing? We don't have any rookies. You could next week theoretically have Riley Bice, -100 break even, or -90 something break even. Connor O'Sullivan, like -10 break even or something like that. Not too much. I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of, as we talked about, Trainer is a -30 or so break even, 200k. Then you've got Zach Reed, probably -5, -10 break even, I would think. If we just go to this is just breaking. What is going on with SuperCoach at the moment? But anyway, here we go. Let's go to -27 for the likes of Zach Reed, and then you've got -12 for Pryor. Pryor could almost go straight to Connor O'Sullivan, but I'm not going to do that. And then you've got potential for Toby Travalia or someone else. If we just go to players, defenders down here, and then we go like this, and then we get the rookie, the break evens. You'll see you've got Travalia on -13 at the moment. That's going to climb if he does another 80. You've got also on potential, no, Weedon won't play. Let's just see. Under 3 matches is probably the best way to sort this. Yeah, you've got, well, Patton's not going to play. Leake's not going to play. Warner is on the bubble. You've got Karmas on the bubble. Weedon not going to play. So yeah, you've got a potential for a lot of guys just to be there. You've also got Sandy Brook at 99.1k playing his first game. Don't expect him to score well. Can you like sort it by play? Selected to play, that's going to help. So you got Travalia, O'Donnell's not going to be much, Griffin Logue, no, all these guys, no. So you have Whitlock as well, who scored 22, that's not going to help. Kevin Smith scored a 30, I thought he'd be better, to be honest, but you got Toby Travalia, who could be a potential guy to grab up next week as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of guys that are putting their hand up, I would say. And then no one else here really. As I said, Sam Banks, 60, no. Caleb Smith, a little bit disappointing there for a full game. And then Bauer came on a sub. McIntosh, if anyone was thinking about it, you never grab a tagger in Fantasy or SuperCoach. Then we go up to Brisbane, and their midfield just dominated. Hugh McCluggage has been probably one of the unsung heroes, I would say. If we go to his fantasy game and just check what has he scored per game this year, he's actually averaging 103, which I don't know what he was priced at. He was priced at roughly 98 or so, so that's probably not, he's probably not put up the greatest numbers. In round 1, he put up a 60 against Sydney, but after that, he's actually put up decent numbers in the easy matchups against the Eagles, Geelong, and also the Richmond Tigers, but a little bit heavier on the 1-4-1 that he just scored. Heavy emphasis on that, as I believe that was the top fantasy score of the day. Then you have Josh Dunkley, 116, 114 split, 30 touches, 10 tackles, 16 contested possessions, 8 clearances at 70%, and he still had a negative split. It's kind of surprising. Lachie Neale added 42 touches, and he was getting tagged for half the game or so. So yeah, that didn't work, and he's back. And now if we go to Neale here, hopefully this loads for me, but if you look at Neale, he's got a 143 break even, and he's just gone 130. I mean, how does it, Western Bulldogs can tag, etc. If he's gone 130 here, and then he goes, oh man, why is this not loading? There we go. Project here. So you've got him at about 579k with a 135 break even. That doesn't sound right. I guess because the West Coast game he gets out of his system. So this will definitely be intriguing to see, because Neale could be one that you really want to pick up, but he's just got tagged written throughout his fixture every 2 or 3 games, and it's just like, can you really pick him up? So that'll be one that I'll have to look at probably Monday night and just see if he's a guy that I want to grab. Will Ashcroft really pissed off traders in the last couple of weeks. He's gone 130, and he looks a hell of a player now. I don't know what he's averaging in fantasy, but yeah, he's definitely a player that you shouldn't have probably in the long run actually traded him out. He's gone 94 across the year, and it's been a damaging 94 because he put up, I mean, it actually had the round 0 bye in the long run, but yeah, he's put up 94, and yeah, really in best 18, he's gone, what's that, 220, 310. He's gone an average of 103 in best 18, which is absolutely damaging. I don't know what his SuperCoach is for that run there as well, but I would hazard a guess it's probably even more, as I've somehow spelt his name absolutely pathetically. But if we go to Will Ashcroft here, in best 18, so he is averaging, so he went 130, so he's got 443, so he's averaging 110 in SuperCoach, I believe, across the games. And in best 18, he's gone 240. He's gone an average of 123 in best 18. That's absolutely, those are the big numbers you want. So yeah, he's been outstanding. And a potential guy to look at trading in. I mean, he's going to go up. He's going to be 500k. So yeah, I just don't know if you can trade him in, if he's going to do this in the long run, etc. He probably will, because he's an absolute outstanding player, and he's a Norm Smith medalist for a reason. But we'll just see if he does. Jasper Fletcher, this was an outstanding game from halfback. He's going to get defender status. Don't think he's been a guy that's done it too regularly though. So definitely not a guy that I'm looking at per se. But he did his job. He's averaging 68 on the year. So yeah, 67 on the year. So that's his first good game. And then you've got no one else here really. Levi repaid the faith of guys that held him. 1 goal, 22 touches. He was always going to do something like this. And his cash generation just restarted effectively. I don't know what exactly it was, but yeah, he just repaid the faith there. Dane Zorko, it looked like, as I said earlier in sort of the pre-game of this, it looked like the Brisbane really tried to just get a percentage booster, and that really hampered Dane Zorko as they didn't chip it round the back as much. So, yeah, you would see, I don't think their marks were too high for a team. I can double check that. But it felt like they were just trying to really push the pace of it and didn't really get they had 376 touches in the end, and in the end had 94 marks, which is about their league average. So yeah, and it was an 89 uncontested mark. So yeah, I just don't think too worried about him. Obviously, for those that captain him, that's really unlucky because this should have been an easy matchup. But then again, also, you got to think about it like this happened last year with Sicily as well, that they come up against a really easy matchup and they really try and push the pace. I know Hawthorn did this against and this is why I referenced Sicily. Sicily scored a 32 against Richmond last year, I think, or something like that. So just shows that guys in the back line can really not score well against in easy matchups, quote unquote easy matchup, because they just try and push the pace and do something almost different. Payne, no one else here really matters too much, I would say, actually. And then we go to the last game of the day in North Melbourne versus Sydney. And I was really actually disappointed with North Melbourne. I was really disappointed with I guess the style of the play is always going to be that slow, methodical build-up. But I was really disappointed with the ball use from them. Their ball use was pathetic. They really conceded. And I'm actually going to bring up Wheelo and hope that I can show you guys this in terms of the match stats. Hopefully it's got Sydney. Let's go through this. I'm just going to show you this and show you why I was really disappointed in North Melbourne. So Sydney actually ended up winning the clearances 38-30. North were ahead in the clearances. I'm pretty sure they were ahead in the centre clearances as well. But then if we just look at this, stoppages 39-30, centre bounce, Sydney actually won at 7-6. So Sydney in the end won the stoppages, won the stoppage scoring. Look at this turnover battle. Look at that. Sydney actually also did this as well, which is something that they really had to work on. And I'm just going to double check with the round 2 game with them with Fremantle and just check if they fixed that as well in terms of their forward half turnovers. Forward half, they lost to Freo, but it was a lot closer. But they also won the stoppages and lost the turnover. So Sydney just smacked them on turnover. And for North Melbourne being a clearance team, they got smoked. Let's look at the where is it? CBA's clearances for North. Cherry had 7 clearances, but he was beaten in the ruck. Absolutely beaten in the ruck. I'm confident to tell you that he wasn't the best ruck on the day. Yeah, I thought that Grundy absolutely outclassed him in the ruck. And then you also had the likes of Peter Laddams and McLean do a little bit of ruck work as well. I thought that Grundy beat him. Let's just look at watch the ratings say that Tristan Cherry beats Brody Grundy. It says that no, he actually did 11 to 16.1. So Brody Grundy won the ruck battle there. I'm pretty confident to say that. As you just look at these stats here, 5 inside 50s to 2. He had 14 contested possessions. Ground ball gets, they both, Grundy had 5 compared to, oh, he actually did pretty close in pretty much every stat. Post clearance ground ball gets, he beat him. Did Grundy. Handball receives, he beat him. Interceptions, he beat him as well. CBAs were the same. Marks, Brody Grundy had 1 compared to Cherry's 2. Intercept marks, none, no different from them. And then score involvements, Brody Grundy had 7 to Cherry's 2. Score launches, Brody Grundy had 4 compared to 2, compared to 1. And then Brody Grundy had 4 tackles compared to 3. Pressure acts, etc. But the hit outs, etc. I'd love to see the hit outs to advantage. And I'm actually just going to go to this. And this Sydney one might be a little bit longer than the other ones just because it's Sydney. But I just want to show you this in terms of the hit outs to advantage. Look at that. That's the big thing for me with Tristan Cherry, and what he's really got to work on is that if you want to be a clearance-based team, you've got to have a ruck that's actually getting hit-outs to advantage. If we look at this, and I'm going to show you 2024 stats, player stats, 2024, and then we go to all stats here. This is amazing website as well, Wheeler ratings. If we go to ruck contest, hit outs to advantage, and we go to hit outs to advantage percentage, and let's just go to this, and I'm going to have to put in a filter here of select filter, hit outs, and I'm going to go add filter and just put 5 or so, because that knocks a lot of the horrendous players that do like a little bit of ruck contest per game. But if you look at this and you go, where actually is Tristan Cherry, you'll see that Tristan Cherry is down roughly at Rowan Marshall's at 25.2 hitouts to advantage from his total hitouts, I think. And I think that's the stat. Whereas Brody Grundy's at 28.7, and the best in the business in terms of Nankervis at 30.7 last year in a horrific team. Sean Darcy 30.2, Tim English 29.6. So you can see they're getting it to their players 4% better. And that's even in teams that aren't so... Sydney don't get as many clearances as other teams, so that wouldn't be Brody Grundy's bread and butter. But you just look at that and you go, yep, that's where the big difference lies. And you can even see it in the hit-out percentage as well. If you go win percentage, see that he is down near the bottom is the likes of... Where is he? Where is Tristan Cherry? Let's just find him. He is here at 43.4. You've got Brody Grundy at 48, 47. Toby Nankervis, 48. Where's Max Gawn? Where's Maxi Gawn? Has Max Gawn gone AWOL? Yeah, no, Max Gawn at 46.7. So they were all 3-4% higher in terms of that on Tristan Cherry, which amounts to about an 8% difference on both. And the hit outs to advantage is about 10% better than Tristan Cherry, which just shows the big conundrum with that is that Cherry's if we look at, and then we go to tackles, he's obviously going to be ahead, but then if we go to clearances, if we go to total, he's obviously going to be ahead. But if we look at the kick efficiency, is it something like that, you'll see that Cherry is down, or well down at where is he down at 56% or so, was it? Yeah, he's down middle of the pack, I would say, for that. And then his handball efficiency is going to be up there, won't it? Because he's a handball ruck. But you can just see the difference in the stats there. If we look at his clangers per game, he was probably up there. Yep. Disposals per clanger, turnovers per clanger is disposals per clanger is one of the worst in the comp, alongside Brody Grundy. And his, he's also, how did his meters per disposal go in this game? I just want to check that because that was a stat that he had, Tristan Cherry, that his meters were pretty poor. He had 140 meters gained from 18 touches. So he's better this year. He was at 1.8 meters per disposal. So anyway, that was a sidetrack. But probably just shows the game in general how Sydney just demolished North Melbourne on turnovers and were able to at least equalize at North Melbourne's own game of clearances. But anyway, Harry Sheezel 125-144. He was outstanding off halfback, and I really like this role better that he's able to go off halfback. And if we go to CBAs, I think you'll still see it that he did have CBAs, but it was more damaging. 40% CBAs, but it was off halfback rather than half forward. Off halfback rolling into the stoppage and in the stoppage still for 40% of the CBAs is Harry Sheezel's best role, I believe. Not this deep forward, whatever baloney that he was doing last week. Off halfback, he's a lot more damaging because he actually gets the ball and can run through stoppage. I feel like at half forward, he might score an extra goal or whatever through half forward, but a goal or two per game. I don't know what his score involvements were. If we go to this stat, well, this is the one that we want for score involvements. But if we look at their score involvements, he still had 5 score involvements out of 12, which is a fair percentage. So I just feel like he's a lot better in that halfback into midfield role than that half forward, full forward into midfield role. Luke Parker had a pretty good game. 77% disposal efficiency for him is actually a pretty good game, but against his former side, he was probably hyped up for that, but they kind of let him run, I feel like, a little bit. He had a couple of things late that he did that got his score up, but it's not going to be regular for him. LDU got tagged to a 99-104 split, which is actually fair on LDU to do that, but I feel like he did a lot of things late, I want to say. I mean, he was probably tracking well throughout the game for 100, but I felt like he had a pretty good last quarter. 29-point last quarter and 27-point third quarter there. So that's a 56-point second half there to get to a 99-104. Tom Powell probably just showing these. That's kind of going to slow his cash in down. He had 22 touches, 6 marks, 5 tackles for a 92-86 split. Paul Curtis did everything in the first half. I think he was on about 75 at halftime or something. So yeah, he had an absolute amazing first half, but then really slowed down. If we just go to Paul Curtis there, his first quarter, he had 45 points. Second quarter, he had 28, and then 6 and 9 pointer. So he had 15 points second half. Caleb Daniel, that's just a slow game. 88-92, probably just didn't help that Harry Sheezel was down back a little bit more, but still an 88-92 is fine, I feel like, for a halfback. That's going to be top 6 or so still for a forward. Jai Simpkin slowed down, had an injury concern with his ankle. Colby McKercher, I thought this was a better game from him, 90% disposal efficiency. They probably just got to get him more. I would like to see Colby McKercher really involved a little bit more of that sort of 70 meters out from goal and sort of get him the ball there, because I feel like he could be really, really damaging with his left foot. I thought we saw it a couple times. So yeah, that's just my take on that. I don't like him at that half forward spot as much because I don't feel like North are good enough with their ball use at the moment that he can be there. I think you've got to put him at halfback, and I think you've got to say goodbye to, I mean, Tucker had 95% disposal efficiency. Who were the ones that had a shocking? Constanti, we don't expect that. Zerha. Bailey Scott's probably the guy that you got to let loose and just let Colby McKercher go into his slot there and get another forward in, half forward in there. And then Tristan Cherry, as we said, got dominated in the ruck. Was probably lucky that he got to a 94 in SuperCoach for that display. Last year against Brody, he's lost the ruck battle twice against Brody Grundy somehow. He lost it last year at the SCG in funny enough, Luke Parker's comeback game after the suspension, etc. But he's done it again and lost it, I would say, to Brody Grundy this week. Tucker Core, and then no one else really. Constanti tried a lot against his former side. He's going to be that sort of very much Tom Papley-esque sort of stirring the pot player, but when you don't put any goals up and you sort of get caught holding the ball a couple of times, it kind of doesn't work for you. And then Matt Whitlock pretty much got hung out to dry. I feel like putting him on Will Hayward as a 200 centimeter guy on about 186, and Will Hayward plays almost like a small forward in a way, a hybrid small medium that is like a pressure forward. When you put a 200 centimeter guy on him for most of the game, or at least some of the game, it's just not going to work. So I thought that selection was really weird, to be honest with you. I thought Hardiman as well came on late in the game, 24. He looked pretty good in that that role as well. I thought he was much better than Whitlock, which sucks because Whitlock I didn't think had... When you think in the long run, I don't think he had too much of a bad game. It was just his matchup was horrific for him. And then we get over to the Sydney Swans. Bice ball, whatever you want to call him, Miami Bice. Why did I not get him in fantasy is a big question. 26 touches, 15 marks. I'm going to have to pick him up in fantasy and he's going to drop a stinker. You just know it. But he's going to be like 380, 390k in fantasy next week. He's going to be 200k in SuperCoach with a negative 95 or negative 99 break even, somewhere in that range, I feel like. And he's just going to be the pick. So yeah, traded into him and Sinclair in SuperCoach for Short and DeConing. DeConing and Short got to 170 odd points, but the good thing about Bice and Sinclair is one, Bice is on 124 and Sinclair is yet to play, but they're more bigger scores, whereas I know that DeConing and Short will count, but they're not those big end scores that you really want. Like that Bice has got those 120 pluses that can be really, really damaging in best 18. Lloyd 114, 199. He was outstanding early on. Will Hayward was, honestly, if it wasn't for Bice, I feel like Will Hayward was second best on ground, or I would say it was best on ground. He was outstanding, 4 goals, 15 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles. He could have easily kicked a 5th as well, or even a 6th. I think he had a snap that was taken on the line or something. So he was just everywhere early and really dominated that Whitlock matchup. Florent had a good game as well, 18 touches, 12 marks. Rowbottom 86, 74. Brody Grundy 83, 113. So he showed that he's still got it, and he's definitely looked a lot better. And I feel like Sydney's ruck matchups are going to start to turn sour. So if we just go to this and go to Riley Bice here, just to show, I'll do it on here, honestly. Where's the fantasy? I'll just do it here with Grundy. Let's just look at this. Brody Grundy. Let's look at their matchups to come. They have Collingwood. I don't think Darcy Cameron's going to do too well against Grundy, Laddams, and also McLean, or just Grundy and McLean. Then you've got Port Adelaide Sweet as well. Then he's got Wits. Then he's got Briggs. So I feel like this could really be bad for those type of runs, as he's going to start to, that ruck matchup is going to start to turn, I think, red for playing Sydney. Then you've got Matt Roberts. He was a little bit unlucky, I feel like, in the first half that Sydney just couldn't get the ball back from North Melbourne, as they were just playing kick mark or just 1-2s, and Sydney were down 40 odd disposals, and I think they ended up around even, maybe a little bit behind the disposal count. Let's actually just check that. Sydney lost the disposal count by 53 to North Melbourne, and they both had about 100 marks each, 112 to North and 120 to Sydney. So I think Matty Roberts was just a little bit unlucky. I think he might have had someone running with him as well, just to slow him down a little bit. But he, in the end, had a 78-77 split, which is not the worst. He's still gone 115 with Bice in the team last week. Against Freo. I don't know what that was in terms of fantasy. Let me just quickly bring that up for you guys. In terms of fantasy, that round, he had 95. So he's gone 95-115 with him in the side before. So I'm not too worried about his fantasy at the moment. I still feel like he's going to be tracking well. He's got Collingwood next week, which still feel like that'll be good for him. And only 4 behinds. Don't think he had any kick-ins on this week. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that in terms of Matty Roberts. I think Blakey took all the 4 kick-ins. Oh no, Roberts had 3 kick-ins. So he still did well, I feel like, and that could have easily been more kick-ins for him in terms of points scoring as well. So I just want to check this as well. Which one is it? It is Score Sources Team Breakdowns is what I want. And then I want to go to Sydney. And then I want to go to the likes of, where is Roberts here? I want to go to Roberts. Do they have round 4 up? Not yet. But you can see probably just didn't score. The kick-ins probably weren't there for him as well. He probably lost 10, 15 points off kick-ins, I would say. He probably only had 9 or 12 points from kick-ins, which doesn't help. That's a loss of about 10 points. And then and then in terms of the turnovers, he just wouldn't have scored that well, I don't think. So that's it. Isaac Heaney, it's an alright game, but not relevant. James Jordan tagged LDU, as we said. Caden Cleary, comeback game from him. He added some CBAs as well, if I remember correctly. So he's going to be a guy that I think is going to take over in terms of this Papley role for the next 4 or 5 weeks. I feel like until Papley comes back, I think they'll be more happy to run with the likes of Cleary in the side over Adams. I feel like, to be honest with you, as they got to grow and develop that next tier of guys, and Caden Cleary is that guy. Braden Campbell will ride off that half forward. Tom Hanley as well announced himself 2 goals, 13 touches, so that was good from him. Peter Laddams had his Laddams moment at halftime, I would say, with that kick from after the siren. He even cheekily posted that he was just doing the team thing of centering it to the top of the goal square. But that was a shocking kick. It was a shocking ball drop. McCartan dominated Larky, except for the last about 3 minutes of the game, where Larky kicked 2 on him. And then Sheldrick came on and scored really well in 24% time on ground, 12 touches in a quarter. But just disappointing that he really butchered the ball. 6 clangers in a quarter is probably record pace. Yeah, that was really, really poor that he did that. But that is Sheldrick to a T. He finds the ball a lot, but doesn't use it well enough. But hopefully he gets a run in the VFL, which starts in an hour or 2. Hopefully he gets a run there where he can do well. And then Corey Warner, 42, did nothing basically in the first half. So he's still going to be a 60 guy more regularly than not, I feel like, Corey Warner. But yeah, just disappointing that he scored a 42, sorry. He beat his brother by a singular point. But yeah, that last quarter, 6 touches, 2 marks, 1 tackle, 28. He definitely got better in the last quarter, but that was a really disappointing display from him that he didn't do much. But it still could have easily been if he kicked the goal rather than a behind and didn't give away the free kick. That's 45. That's a 50-pointer there. But anyway, that is the overall video, the Super Saturday, I guess, review. If you guys somehow stayed till the end of it, I commend you for this long video, but I feel like it's going to be better that you guys are going to get it all in one video, and I'll try and make it more succinct in the long run. But anyway, if you guys did enjoy that and stayed till the end, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. If you guys are listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there, and I'll see you guys back for, it'll be in the end, it'll be the SuperCoach and Fantasy team reviews for round 4 that come out on Monday, and then that might be Monday like 6 p.m. or so, and then you'll have the you'll have also the Sunday review come out on the Tuesday night also. So we'll see when that happens, but hopefully that'll be in due course, I guess. But anyway, I'll see you guys for those videos tomorrow and Monday. Sorry, Monday and Monday and Tuesday. Sorry, got confused there. But anyway, I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.